Hey, it's me, your boy Blue Getziga, and today I'll be going over one of the new archetypes in one of the newest sets. I know I'm a bit late on this, but yeah. Anyways, I can't review generate and process layers in the same video, so I'm gonna review generates in another video, in a separate video. Anyways, let's get started. Generates is a Cybers archetype. I would have probably preferred it to be a Pyro archetype, but it is what it is. First off, we got Processlayers Sigma. It's a level 4 light Cybers tuner effect monster, 1000 attack and 1500 defense. If you control no monsters in the extra monster zone and this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can activate this effect for the rest of this turn. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except Cyber's monsters. Also special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. That's already really good, especially since it's a level 4 tuner. If this card you control is used as synchro material for a Processslayer monster, you can treat it as a non-tuner. So it's not dead if you have multiple of this on the field. So that's pretty nice. Next we have Processlayer Nabla. It's a dark Cybers tuner this time, and it has 1000 attack and 1500 defense. You can tribute one Cybers monster, special summon one Processlayer monster from your deck, so it's like a lone fire. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Cybers monster you control in the extra monster zone. It can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase this turn. Okay, that's a very weird wording. Each battle phase this turn. But I guess. Next we have Processlayer Adion. Is a level 4 Fire Cybers monster. 1000 attack points and 1000 defense points. You can target one face-up monster on the field. For the rest of the turn, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except Cybers monsters. Also special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, the targeted monster gains 1000 attack until the end of this turn. Which is really good considering that this deck just likes the OTK. I've already read these cards because I'm very, very late when it comes to reviewing these cards, or at least recording this. Next we have Processlayers Subtra. Also, I forgot to mention, it's math themed. You can target one face-up monster on the field. For the rest of the turn, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except Cybers monsters. Also special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, the targeted monster loses 1000 attack until the end of this turn. Which also helps for the OTKs. And this one being the main OTK maker, you have Processlayer Multiplier. It's an Earth Cybers monster. 500 attack and 2000 defense. The attack is incredibly irrelevant. The most relevant thing about this card is the ability to double your attack points. You can target one level 4 Cybers monster you control. It becomes level 8, which is good because you summon this along with the level 4 tuner and you can instantly make the level 12 synchro. If this card is sent to the graveyard, doesn't matter how it's sent to the graveyard as long as it's sent to the graveyard, and yes, that will come up later, you can target one Cybers monster you control in the extra monster zone. Double its attack until the end of the turn, which is really good. And it will combo off with a card I'll mention later. Processlayer Division. I mean, obviously there's a pattern here, but it's obvious what this card does. You can target one Cybers monster in the extra monster zone, special summon up to one level 4 Cybers monster from each your hand and graveyard. Oh yeah, you have to tribute the monster and the extra monster zone. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one face-up monster on the field, have its attack until the end of this turn. Processslayer Magma. This is a generic synchro monster, 2500 attack and 0 defense. My favorite attack stat to have on a synchro monster. Anyways, when this card destroys a monster by battle, you can target up to 2 cards your opponent controls, destroy them. That's already good, especially for a generic synchro. A level 8 synchro. If this card is destroyed by battle, or if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can add 1 Processlayers spells trap from your deck to your hand. Also really good. This is a level 12, which is surprisingly easy to go into. It's unaffected by card effects except Processslayer cards while in the extra monster zone. Double any battle damage this card inflicts your opponent, which also helps with the OTK, especially if you get this thing up to 6,000 attack, or even 7,000 or 8,000, which is fairly easy to do in this deck. If this card is destroyed by battle or by a card effect, you can add 1 Processslayer card from your deck to your hand. And here we have an Exceed, meaning that you can get off multiplier and dividers effect off of this Exceeds. Exceed says it requires 3 level 4s. If you see summon, you can attach up to 3 material from this card, then activate that number of these effects. Send 1 random card from your hand to the graveyard, send 1 monster your opponent controls to the graveyard, and send 1 spell trap your opponent controls to the graveyard. This kind of reminds me of Evil Swarm Orthoros or something. I forgot the name of that Evil Swarm monster, but that's what this card reminds me of. If a Processslayer card you control would be destroyed by a card effect, you can detach 1 material from this card instead. Target 1 Processslayer monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and if you do, it gains 1,000 attack until the end of this turn. That's also really good. And here we have the other means I was mentioning. If the equipped monster battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation, you can send 1 Processslayer monster from your deck to the graveyard. The equipped monster gains attack equal to that monster except until the end of the turn. So you get to send any Processslayer monster from your deck to your graveyard and therefore trigger their effects. If this card is sent from the spell trap zone to the graveyard, you can target 1 Processslayer card in your graveyard except Processslayer Divider added to your hand. Cyber's monsters you can Processslayer Induction. Cyber's monsters you control gain 500 attack. If you control a Processslayer monster, you can send this face-up card you control to the graveyard, and target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it. That's fairly good, it's mostly the second effect. And here we have our Disruption card. Special summon Processlayers Superfactorial. Target up to 3 Processslayer monsters with different names in your graveyard, then activate 1 of these effects. Special summon them, but their effects are negated, and if you do, immediately synchro summon. This synchro material are shuffled into the deck instead of going to the graveyard, or special summon them, but their effects are negated, and if you do, voice crack, immediately Exceed summon 1 Processslayer Exceed monster, which is good because the Exceed has an effect once it's summoned, and you can easily use it as disruption. And that's all I have for the Processlayers. I'm probably going to do the generates later, and by later I mean tomorrow, or at least I'm going to upload it tomorrow. Anyways, I said anyways so many times. Anyways, that's all I have for process layers.